I think we know exactly what's going to happen. President Trump has effectively surrendered to Putin before the negotiations have even begun. And I think the people who are paying the closest attention to this outside of in Ukraine are in Beijing, where they see the United States unwilling to act against unprovoked aggression in the center of Europe. What are they thinking now about Taiwan?
Another Trump lie exposed, this time following his meeting with Putin about ending the war in Ukraine. Trump exploited Americans' desire to end the war as a campaign talking point, using it to win the presidency while having no real intention of standing up to Putin. Instead of enforcing a cessation of hostilities, he caved, giving Putin exactly what he wanted. The consequences of his surrender will be felt by everyone. But before we dive in, if you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Your support means a lot, and it also helps promote these progressive messages to the YouTube algorithm, which helps its amplification to reach even more viewers. An article recently published in the Daily Beast written by Julia Davis, who runs the Russian Media Monitor channel on YouTube, which documents Russian state propaganda, details the extent of Trump's capitulation to Putin. The article is titled, "Laughing Kremlin Insiders Say Trump Has Given Putin Green Light to Expand the War." Julia Davis writes, U.S. President Donald J. Trump stunned the world by offering unprecedented concessions to Russia in its ongoing invasion of Ukraine on Wednesday, seemingly without getting anything in return. Before the formal peace talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin even started, Trump and members of his administration dismissed the idea that Trump could reclaim its territories that Russia currently occupies, slammed the door shut for Kyiv's hope of NATO membership, and refused to acknowledge Ukraine as an equal member in the peace process. While Ukrainians and their allies were left in disbelief, Russian state TV and radio stations were full of elated propagandists who grinned ear to ear and periodically broke out into uproarious laughter. Davis continues by noting the response of one of the most prominent propagandists on Russian state media, Vladimir Solovyev, saying, Solovyev added that the telephone conversation between Trump and Putin, quote, had caused a total collapse of Zelensky's world, end quote, and Europe is, quote, insanely panicked, end quote. He said that Trump's approach followed the logic of Putin's ultimatum in December 2021, when he claimed that, quote, NATO expansion, end quote, was a core reason for the invasion. While gloating about the Trump administration repeatedly reiterating its belief that Ukraine must concede certain territories to Russia, Solovyev sternly asserted that Russia does not intend to relinquish any of its conquests. So now Russian state media, the propaganda arm of the Kremlin with the authority of it therein, is broadcasting that America will not stop Russia in any of its further conquests, like they formerly propounded by conquering Poland and other former states of the Soviet Union, like Ukraine, to reestablish the Russian Empire. Vice President J.D. Vance did publicly announce, though, that the U.S. will send its own troops if Russia does not end the war, which simultaneously carries no weight whatsoever, since his boss is the one who capitulates to Putin, while suggesting a direct military involvement of American troops, thus escalating the war and directly contradicting their campaign promises. This Trump administration shamelessly lied about ending wars rather than escalating them purely to win an election, and you can be sure that many MAGA supporters actually don't even care about ending the war either, and like Trump, just used it to secure power, thus embracing the tenets of true fascism. Even John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor, recently told CNN that Trump essentially surrendered to Putin and caused significant harm to U.S. national security and gave a glaring sign of weakness to the leaders of China, who are contemplating their own invasion of their neighbor, Taiwan. Trump loves to claim this war never would have happened if I were president, but that statement is meaningless. Time and again, whenever Putin demands something big, Trump gives in. According to Andrew Weissman, the lead prosecutor in the Mueller and Enron investigations, in his book Where the Law Ends, Putin has long coveted the wealth of Ukraine's eastern territories, rich in resources and strategically vital. Now, with Trump unwilling to stand firm, Putin gets exactly what he wants. Trump's not ending the war. He's enabling the imperialism of Putin in Ukraine and Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Taiwan, just as he has done by advocating for the American annexation of Gaza, Greenland, and Canada, a reckless agenda that undermines the established international order. By normalizing a new era of global imperialism, Trump is emboldening authoritarian leaders like Putin and Xi to wage wars of conquest at will. Once again, Trump aids America's adversaries by accelerating the perception of the decline of U.S. global leadership, destabilizing the very principles of sovereign equality and territorial integrity enshrined in the UN Charter, principles for which roughly 400,000 Americans died fighting to establish in World War II. Principles which are not respected by the Vietnam War bone spurs draft-dodging felon President Trump, and which erode the stability of the international system through his parroting of ideological subversion tactics of our adversaries, further pushing the United States toward an era of diminished influence and escalating global chaos, while China and Russia look on with glee, happy to fill the vacuum left by Trump's reclusion from global leadership. Trump in so many ways is like the Wizard of Oz, who operates with the illusion of a strong man while appeasing evil leaders. If this were a biblical story, some radical Nazarene might say, "Woe to this hypocrite, who outwardly presents himself as a man of peace, yet within is consumed by the relentless hunger for power and self-interest." Stay vigilant to their hypocrisy, fellow freedom fighters.